My friends they call me Efrebo. Where they protect our family from yama infection. SCP liquid antiseptic. Oh yeah, make you take up, clean your mouth. Take and do emergency things. Now multi-purpose liquid antiseptic. Oh yeah, put them for first aid box. You fit apply for minor wounds. Papa, mama, picking everybody.
Nimet International Pharmaceuticals PLC, they do NCP, now the protection we every home need.
Gbogbo ọmọ Naija nílẹ̀ yìí títí tó fi dókèèrè gẹ́gẹ́ bá a ti mọ̀ pé àrùn coronavirus tí gbogbo ayé ń pè ní COVID-19 ó ti gbòde káàkiri gbogbo àgbáńlá ayé pàápàá jùlọ lórílẹ̀‐èdè Nàìjíríà ẹ̀jẹ̀ àmọ̀mọ́tótó tó ń tìlera wa lọ́kùnkúndùn kájà kálẹ̀ àrùn tí wọ́n ń pè ní COVID-19 kó má bàa dọ́dọ̀ wa gbìyànjú kó o rí pé òun fọwọ́ rẹ ní gbogbo ìgbà pẹ̀lú ọṣẹ àtomi tàbí nǹkan fọwọ́ tí wọ́n ń pè ní sanitizer yé tọwọ́ bọ ihò mú ní gbogbo ìgbà tó o bá sì rí pé òun wúkọ́ tàbí òun sin léraléra tàbí mímì rẹ òdókè kò dé sàlẹ̀ bí àwọn elétò ìlera lórí aago kó o ṣàlàyé bó ṣe ń ṣe ọ́ fún wọn. ṣé gàyà fún àǹtí ìmọ̀ni gbàgìgbàgì nínú ìṣẹ́kù ọwọ́ òní kí gbogbo ẹni tó wúkọ́ níta gbangba ó máa wúkọ́ wọn sí nítorí àìsàn COVID-19 kì í ṣàìsàn olówó nìkan o mẹ̀kúnnù tí ò bá fura ó lè dọ́dọ̀ wọn. ká má bàa lùgbàdì àìsàn COVID-19 ó la ṣe ń kígbe tọ̀tọ̀ pé wọ́n náà nípa láti kó nínú ìgbáyégbádùn ara ẹni. aláṣẹ àtòlùdarí crime and life security network ambassador Dr. Olúgbénga Amos Ọláníyàn ló ní kí n sọ fún wa wípé ìlera lọ́rọ̀ kò ṣeé fowó rà.
Living news.
Madam.
Come and show me the things you bought.
Hey, madam. I buy cowbell, evaporated milk.
Wow. So cowbell now comes in a van.
Yes, madam.
Living news, you show some initiative.
But I know be native.
Who call you native now?
You call me native. Hey, come on for your native. Come make it come.
You love your milk deliciously creamy with all the goodness of Vitarich. That's how we've made the new Cowbell Evaporated Milk. Cowbell Evaporated Milk. Evaporated just for you.
Who do your parents call? When does a family matter? You. Who do your siblings go to for any and everything? You. Who do your kids see as their own personal assistant? You. You may carry the weight of everyone on your back, but when it's time for sleep, let Muka Wellbeing range of orthopedic mattresses have your back. Muka Wellbeing is endorsed by Nigeria Society of Physiotherapy. It cradles your back and pressure
sensation in the throat, chest or stomach. Andrew's liver salts fight indigestion and heartburn fast. If symptoms persist after 2 days, consult your doctor.
The station that rules the nation. From state to state, country to country, we play the hits just for you.
Splash 105.5 FM.
We've got the city on lockdown.
Got my own city that I hold down.
We are Splash 105.5.
We educate. That's why we are respected. We inform. That's why we are loved. More music. We are the best. The Integrity Station. Splash.
105.5.
Guess what? We are still the most listened to radio station.
Yes! Right.
We are still the best. We are Splash 105.5.
You already know. No.
Looking for the best station on the radio?
105.5.
It's my station. I can't get enough. Other stations need not apply.
From the top of the Fisher Building.
This is
Detroit's number one hit music station.
Splash 105.5 FM. Your Integrity Station.
water kukula. Omi badagba, omi lo maro. Tomo badagba, omi lo malo. If your child they go, now water you go. The water give your child, now water you go. Omi back mama well, omi na lo malo. The water give your child, now water you go.
Because today is June 12th and it's Nigeria's Democracy Day according to the government, and so we've changed from May 29 to June 12th. So we'll be looking at June 12th. It's historical, and I'm sure that you also. And the first one we're going to play is K.O. Abiola was arrested by the junta. He spoke to the BBC while he was arrested. We're going to play that again, but before a brief of introduction. So, Michael,
yeah,
you have something to say about June 12th?
Well, I remember that day I was in Songwater, and of course I don't want to say I registered to vote so that people will not start guessing my age. Fortunately, I was not able to vote because I was not in Ibadan on that very day. But I started, imbibing activism. When you get out of secondary school, you want to be involved in a lot of things. So I was in activism at that time, just following up from, polling booth to the other. And they didn't even look at the name of the Nigerians voted massively. And then it turned out that a couple of days
June 12 saga denied me about 7 months of going to the university.
Of course.
I was just got admission, I was getting to UI, did my registration, and we were asked to go back home, and so we were very angry, kind of anger that engulfs your mind at that time. But the unfortunate part is if you go down to the millennials, many people do not even know who Abiola was.
Yeah, a lot of people, regrettably, because we have lost the sense of history and basically, even families, even though the government has returned history into the curriculum, we're still on a long journey in terms of letting our young ones, understand our past. And see, someone said that, I think it was P.B. Shelley that said that you have to have a sense of history because it will help you to understand your present situation and it will help you to craft a future that you like for yourself.
So welcome again to the program. We are streaming live on Facebook as I speak to you, so you can see our panelists, you can see us, and we can be together. We'd like to also you to contribute to the program on Facebook. You can also call us when the time comes. You can send text messages to 0809 155 1055, 0805 699 8678, and 0706 949 3000. Before we bring on our panelists, let's play back history, and I want you to listen to what happened to MKO Abiola the day he was arrested by a commissioner of police that came with his people to arrest him, and they allowed him to speak with a BBC journalist. Listen to this.
What is happening at your house? Are you being arrested?
I'm being arrested. I'm just going out now with the police.
Hello?
There's a large crowd here. And I was being escorted out to detention by singing the national anthem.
Why are they arresting you?
They are arresting me on an allegation of felony, nameless treason or something like that. They are not doing anything, they are just taking me away. Please let me go. I'm delaying them.
And so where are you now? Are you in your car?
I'm in my car now.
Is it police who are with you in your car, or are they escorted? Are they
Yes, the commissioner of police is in the car with me, and my senior wife is in the car with me.
Why are they letting you talk on the phone to the BBC while they're in the middle of arresting you?
They have come to arrest me, not to arrest my mouth.
You sound very cheerful about it, Chief Abiola.
Of course. You know, it's all part of democracy here.
And you're happy to go to the police and await whatever charges they're going to file against you?
I'm not in any way disturbed by it. Any sacrifice is in order. If it will bring democracy, peace and prosperity to Nigeria.
Is it possible to talk to the Commissioner of Police who's with you in the car?
I don't know if the Commissioner of Police is authorized to talk. He cannot talk to the press.
What is your advice now to your supporters, many of whom we heard a moment ago?
Well, I told them before I left home to just stay calm. It is very, very important that they stay calm.
So you're appealing for calm. You don't want them to take any direct action in your support?
No.
You still say you're the president of Nigeria, but it's not much good if you're going to be in jail.
Well, Mandela was in jail for 27 years. Kenyatta was in jail. I suppose that is one of the qualifications you need in this part of the world. Don't worry yourself, my friend.
Did you hear him? Did you hear him? 27 years ago, that dream was aborted of him becoming the president. And he said that there's no sacrifice that is too small. And every sacrifice is in order.
Any sacrifice in order if it will bring democracy to Nigeria.
And he paid the supreme price. I still have more to play, but let me delve into my panelists. I'll start from Chief Akinola. Chief Akinola, June 12th came. I'm sure that you had recollections of that period that led us into our Fourth Republic. I'd like you to reminisce a little bit. What did Nigeria lose from that episode of its history?
Well, thank you very much. I must say that going down memory lane, we have to go beyond
June 12.
June 12. The whole thing started in Jos. For those of you who recollected the primaries, I was a participant. I was Deputy Speaker of the state. And I was privileged to be at the Jos Stadium, where we did the primaries twice. If you recollect, the first one didn't produce a clear winner between Chief M.K. Abiola, Atiku, and King Ibe. And we had to do it again. I mean, watching weather of Jos. Thank God for the people there, the Yoruba community in Jos, supplying us water. Those of us who went from the southwest were led by Abadi Dubu. And it was not an easy victory for him. There were lots of horse tradings, give and take, negotiations, and what have you. And I remember really well that when we came back, Chief Seun Ashaba brought M.K. Abiola to Malete here. Man, thank Abadi Dubu. We were singing, and we were back on, appreciating what. And that, in the back of our mind, we all went into the election thinking that everything was going to be okay for Nigeria. Of course, the election. The streets of Ibadan, Lagos, people were being mowed down like goods. And I was talking with some of your colleagues this morning. Came to do for a recording in my house about 5 radio and television stations to ask me similar questions, and I recollect the painful aspect of it. What I recollect vividly is that most of the participants, most of those who fought for this democracy, who suffered, are in the code out there. You see, each time I remember the likes of Moshood Derubami, whose leg has been amputated now, I've run many, went through many, and the likes of Agbenga Awosade. Comrade Olaoni, whose wife just died of recent. Dr. Bekora Sonkuti, whose wife just died of brain tumor without anybody taking care of it. Most of the beneficiaries of the present democracy were not participants. They were not there. I mean, about 92% of them were not there. The section of Chief Lam Additional who benefited, they were not there. I remember many of them don't even know the geography of detention camp in Ibadan at Olatunbosun. We are going in and out. Yes. You only go out for sponges, toothpaste. When we are going, when you are starting out of your house, from your house in the morning, you are not sure when you are coming back. You are not even sure you are coming back at all.
So there was a detention camp at Olatunbosun.
Olatunbosun, underground there. No window.
It's called DSS today.
Olatunbosun there. I was there 5 times.
Yes.
5 times.
You were there 5 times.
The chairman of NBA then, Alhaji Ali Balogun, was dragged on the floor with his 2 legs. No, when we are defending. You remember the issue of prisoners of war? Who went through? I remember taking Fasheun to Chief Ladoja. Chief Ladoja lost a lot, lots of businesses and money. We are using a ship to do certain things. So I would want to reveal on air. So I remember really how I had to move to Malifa Lafia to convene one of your colleagues out of the country, driving him through Oyo Iseyin, Ijio.
You drove
him a bit. Driving, I mean, the present
NCC
SSA to the vice president. He just did a story on Today Adedeji, the killing and what have you. If he had stayed for another 30 minutes, he would have been dead. Just call me Egmont. Where you can get me out of this place? Because his brother-in-law happened to be Major Fadipe, who got wind of it and alerted him. Remember, Fadipe was the ADC to Jonadia. He's from Lagelu here. And there are a lot of things. Look at the likes of Benga Awosade. But for the fact that he was rehabilitated briefly by Governor Aregbesola, we have forgotten about him.
So you drove a journalist out of this country?
Yes. Through Ijio, through Ado Awaye, I mean, quite a lot of things. I mean, we knew what we went through.
Let me put this
in. We knew the traditional rulers that could not even enter Ibadan then.
Before my colleague.
We knew those traditional rulers that used to give us cover when we go in there. The Awujala and President Alaafin, they did quite a lot. President Alaafin did quite a lot.
Someone said that those who killed Abiola are in government today.
Well, it is possible. I'm not aware, but I just appreciate the fact that quite a lot of things that quite a number of things that cannot be said on the air. And Prof will recall here that at that time when we go out there, we are not sure the number of people that we. But unfortunately, most of the present day beneficiaries of the struggle
squandering the benefits of the struggle.
They were not in the trenches.
They were not there.
They were not there.
Interesting and very well. Just use the word interesting recollection there. Many people have different levels of recollections and experiences of the June 12 struggle. I know that.
I must give it to the press. The young press did a lot.
Oh, yes.
But many of us would have been forgotten where we are kept. If the press was not shouting, saying that, many of us would have been forgotten.
Let me come to Prof. When Senior Advocate was talking, you were nodding and you were also corroborating the stories. Tell us your own, recollections of June 12.
Well, I think I first have to start by thanking this station by putting me in between these two giants.
Aren't you a giant?
Yes, I encountered them in the context of this struggle. I'm happy that Professor Yewo is here. But my senior brother here, I discussed him with some colleagues outside Nigeria who actually accused us of indolence, that we are not actually doing enough. And I told him that it's because we are not telling the history of the struggle. And because we are not actually telling the history of the struggle, those who are benefiting directly from it are misusing the power given to them because they were not part of this struggle. So I am well familiar with his own contribution. We went to University of Ibadan together. When he became Deputy Speaker of Oyo House of Assembly, we became more interested in his activities I knew, how he was harassed left and right. And in fact, as he said, we cannot say everything
Some
here.
things.
He became a senior advocate, and we went to the national conference. And I had the opportunity of further studying him. You see, those who have the heart of this country, those who really feel that this country should be great, are not the ones making noise. Those making noise out there are people who do not even know the definition of democracy. Not to talk of having the understanding of how to practice it. So he went through a very, very hard, he went the hard way. But I'm happy that he's still standing. And that is why some of us still celebrate him. We call him Egbon. We are not calling him Egbon not only because of age, but because of what the two eyes have seen. Now, for Professor Oyewo, when we had the 1999 transition, the international community was afraid that it could be truncated. And so a number of projects came into Nigeria. I was appointed as a consultant to an American project called USAID OTI, USAID Office of Transition Initiative. So the American system monitored that, monitored our transition from 1999 to 2003. And I was a consultant for that project. And in the process of implementing our agenda, we consulted Professor Oyewo at Unilag. He was at Unilag then. So when he was made commissioner here, I said, this man is back to Oyo State, but we've never met. And that is why when he was coming in, I did not even recognize the face. Until so, Prof, I salute your contribution to the struggle. Now, the point we're trying to make here is that from June 12th, well, let's not even talk about the journey from June 12th to now. We are still discussing the struggle.
Yes.
Now, those of us in the university, we have our own different stories. And not all the stories can be told here. But the Olatunbosun one that he's referring to, if you read my inaugural lecture in the University of Ibadan, it's there. My own encounter with it. People coming to say to the government that you are trying to destabilize Nigeria. And so when I was taken to, one of the times I was taken to Olatunbosun, they look at me and they said, Dr. Albert, you are not even living well. You have two accounts. One with Tara Bank and the second one, I think, with Society, whatever. General. They went to the account and discovered that what I had in my account could not even take care of me, not to talk of destabilizing Nigeria. So we see, we cannot tell all the stories. We cannot tell all the stories here. But the point of convergence for all of us, including Dr. Mario in Ibadan, Babadis Tribune, many will meet at night, we will hold long meetings. Now we broke into different brackets, and I decided that the best way for dealing with this problem is to teach Nigeria how to manage its conflicts. That was what gave birth to the Peace Studies program in the University of Ibadan. So the British government came in. I had a dialogue with the British government, and they said, okay, we are going to support you to achieve your goal. And that was what led to the Peace and Conflict Studies program in the University of Ibadan. Our colleague Fayemi went the Nadeko way. There was a time I was invited to. He was the guerrilla fighter. And then we have some journalists who will come into this room, produce an edition of whatever. By 7 o'clock, it's circulated all over. So you see, the story is yet to be told. When I see people hanging all over the place, talking rubbish and saying they're actually promoting democracy, we are yet to be on that part of democracy. But this country cannot survive.
We are yet saying
we are yet to start
Prof,
the journey.
say it again.
We are yet to start the journey, the democracy journey that we're talking about.
What do you mean?
And I think, no, you see, when you say democracy, we should not be providing a very sophisticated definition of democracy. Let us use the simple one that you have out there. Democracy is said to be a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Now, can we truly say that the government we have is by the people? Can we say it is for the people? So we have to sit down at the stage to say, okay, we want a people-centered political system. a system that is actually addressing everybody, that is taking care of the poor, that is taking care of the rich, that is taking care of the educated and the uneducated.
Okay, so
that is when we say we have democracy.
That conclusion is skating for me, but we might have to explore it. But let's come to Professor Yewo here. Prof, June 12 has come and gone, and we will continue to recollect about it. Maybe in 2 minutes, we want to do a recollection, because I have a specific question about our fourth republic for you.
No problem.
So let's do a recollection, a brief recollection.
Thank you very much. A lot have been said about, June 12. For me, June 12 epitomizes the Nigerian spirit and yearning and thirst for democratic governance under a military setup of totalitarian regime. People always forget that whether military is benevolent or malevolent, is dictatorial. So the spirit of people will always reject it. And June 12 is the watershed for the current democratic governance or democratization that we are going through. You'll remember that June 12, people were so interested in having democratic governance that they were not even interested in whether we presented a Muslim ticket or a Christian ticket. And that was the first time in Nigeria. And June 12 also represented an opportunity for the establishment of what has become generally acceptable in democratic governance of a two-party, system of government that will have given alternative. Whether we like it or not, we are gravitating towards that. We now have, you remember we had two parties, SDP and NRC. Now we are gravitating towards two parties in Nigeria too now. We have APC and we have PDP. So it represented an opportunity. And if you look at contemporary democratization experiences along the West African coast, using Ghana as our, Ghana has really evolved into this effective alternative so that we have a sharp program. And June 12 also represented a presentation of ideologies in political manifesto. So the ideology of NRC was totally different from the ideology of SDP. But now, that's why my colleagues are saying that we don't have democracy, because the parties don't have ideology. What they have are opportunistic people who see the route to power in getting voted into office. So we have challenges in maintaining a pragmatic democracy that delivers on the idea and values of democratic governance, which is getting value for the resources. If you look at the resources that has passed through Nigeria between 1999, that we started democratic governance, we should at least be comparable to Dubai, if not to the UK, in terms of, value for money. But what do you have? We still have poverty. We have insecurity. We have nomadic and extremist, insecurity in the northwest, in the northeast, and we have increase in the incidence of rape in Oyo State now. So everywhere you look at, you see that we are not making progress. Then added to it, you will find out that people who really participated, as has been said, who have the passion, the idea, the vision, are not the people in government. In fact, it's a joke that since Abiola, who was the only democratic person, all we have had are military apologists, except for Jonathan. We had Baba Olusegun Obasanjo. Now we have Baba General Buhari. So the thing is that we have done a Brazilian tango of moving 2 steps forward and moving 10 steps backwards. And that is why people are really questioning whether or not we are on the path to having a sustainable, whether we are fostering democratic, governance in Nigeria.
Professor Yewo, you are a participant in our current democratic experience.
Yes.
And listening to you talk about the characters, basically, it gives me a push to ask you. So when you find yourself in the midst of these people, what's the sense that these people transmit to you when you are in a gathering and people talk about our democracy?
The thing is that when you are a technocrat commenting from outside, you are looking in from outside, you don't even really know what is really inside. And that has been my, I remember when we were talking about party alternation, we went to campaign that let's have a party alternation, let's move from PDP to APC. And it happened. So for me, there comes a time where you cannot be sit down look. You have to. And the opportunity came when the leadership of Oyo State government under Governor Seun Makinde invited me to be a party to this particular process. And I believe that more and more, if people who have good intention understand the value of governance, get into government like we have. You see, Governor Seun Makinde has not been a politician before. He was a successful businessman. So definitely there is a paradigm shift, as it were, in having quality people who are oasis. And it's not surprising that he's the leading light in the sea of governors that we have in Nigeria. So those are the kinds of things that we are looking forward to, that people should get to the point that they feel that it can't be business as usual. We must get involved, take hold, because the resources are getting thinner and thinner. As it were now, the federal government dependence on oil has kicked us in the face. The price of oils are falling down. We are not sure what the future holds for Nigeria.
I like your choice of words, Prof. You said the federal government's dependence on oil.
Yes.
But then all of us are depending on oil.
Well, but the resources...
You are trying to extricate yourself from this mix, right?
I'm not trying to extricate ourselves. What I am saying is I'm talking about the governance that we run in Nigeria. Majority of the money, the decision and everything, unfortunately, because of the history of military that we have, is concentrated too much at the center.
Okay, so we will take off the issue of
from there
very quickly now. I'm coming to Chief Akinola. Chief, as a journalist, my mind kept talking about things you were unable to say. And I was wondering, why are you unable to say them? I mean, it's history, it's experience you heard. Why are they difficult for you to say?
Well, as a student of literature, you should be able to appreciate one thing, that when a letter is written to you or your speech is being made, you need to infer those things that meant to be said that were not said. You see, it's not everything that you know. You get to a stage in life, there's not everything you know that you say. We cannot, I was discussing with BRF the other day, the Minister of they said, look, everything we did to take over the Southwest for the progressives cannot be said. And there are things that will go into the grave of us.
I will go into the grave.
Yes. Even what we are discussing now, I just said to you how I took Freddy Fashion to Chief Ladoja. It's not everything that transpires after that. I'm saying over here. You remember the time when we were being attacked left, right, and center along the coast of Ondo State? I would push out the invaders. Very goes to Chief, but I won't tell you what we did. So there are so many things like that along the way. And you get to a stage as you grow.
Now, I will still come back to a few of those things. I'm interested. But let's come to democracy in the Fourth Republic and justice. We discussed at the editorial, and we were looking at our Fourth Republic, and we said that every time analysts, opinion molders will talk about the inadequacies of our constitution, and we have practiced democracy since 1999 up until now. Let me not come back to what Prof said. Why haven't we been able to evolve a democratic constitution? I will hear Afenifere say autochthonous constitution. I don't know where you belong, but Why is it that it's difficult for us to come out with a constitution? We attended a lot of conferences. The last one being 2014, and you were there. You were also there too. Why is democracy unable to give us the people's constitution?
The problem is the elites, the Nigerian elites. And I'm happy that my co-panelists, they are from the academic world, and they will attest to this fact. You see, there are quite a number of things we take for granted in Nigeria. And Professor Albert and I discussed this issue before. Those of us who are well-traveled appreciate the fact that federalism, if you adopt federal system of government, one of the cardinal principles of federalism is that every component part must be allowed to develop at its own pace. But what are we having in Nigeria? The elite, the civil service, the academic, the local government workers, they form a body. The man teaching in Lautech want to hand the same salary with his counterparts in University of Lagos. It doesn't work that way. When I was in Cambridge, the professors don't hand the same salaries. You are paid according to your terms of employment and your productivity. In fact, your students will assess you for you to get promotion. If you are not productive, if you are not up and doing, you won't get the desired position. But what do we have in Nigeria? The elites, including myself, we have this tendency to say, okay, take for instance, local government. I'm happy the Commissioner for Justice is here. I'm from Ido local government. My local government has director of estate. Ask me, where is the estate in Ido? The Ogoluwa local government has director of estate. I don't know whether you know Ajawa.
No, Ajawa.
Where is the estate there? And if any government comes around to say, look, let's practice, let's evolve a system that will recognize our diversities and what have you, some people will kick against it. Dr. Fashion and I had to argue over this thing before. If you are sabbatical in University of Cambridge and you move on to Oxford, you will not get double salaries. But here in Nigeria, if you are Albert lives here now for Lautech, you will expect to be paid in Ibadan and also at Lautech.
And they are not happy about it.
No. They are working. There are reasons. There are other reasons why they are.
Prof is not talking about this.
Even that posture is against the provision of the ICPC Act. If we apply the law strictly, many of them will be in jail. But they are not aware of it. They are not appreciative of this.
So Prof, you have fingered the elite.
The elite, including myself. I'm just using that as, you see.
You're just using us as an example.
Exactly. we are the problem. The elite, the giant elites. If we want federal system of government, because I've been involved in this constitutional engineering team, it tries now. I was a member of the political bureau. And each time we get there, you say, no, this is Nigeria. No. Tell me, which federal system of government, anywhere in the world, you have NJC?
Yeah.
Where somebody will sit down in Abuja and be appointing judges for them in Zamfara. Tell me, but the judges, when we were at the confab, he was there with me. I have all the memoranda we received, kick against the provision of the NJC. But those of us who are lawyers, they gather us, they put us in a particular and read them with us. You see, these governors are animals. They will not pay salaries as and when due. They will not, because of their experiences. Whereas when some judges were denied their salaries for giving judgments against the government of the day. But it's not the normal thing. We're talking of Executive Order 10. There are divergences of opinions over it.
Chief Akinola, we will come to...
no, I'm just telling you.
We'll come to Executive Order 10.
Well, he asked the question, why was it that we could not evolve a democratic constitution as
so the elite are the problem?
Yeah, we are the problem.
Okay.
In all angles.
But will we be able to get such a constitution?
Of course, when the people
through the National Assembly.
When the people decide to be active and because there's this tendency for Nigerians to be blaming the judiciary when the judiciary pronounce on a particular issue without tackling the nature. When a law is being conceived, like the Infectious Disease Act now, people are sitting on the fence. So when it is put in place and the judge pronounces on it, they will now descend on that judge. What should they do?
Okay.
Like leaving the driver and you are attacking the conductor.
Okay, it's still the big conversation, June 12 special on Splash FM 105.5. Chief Akinola has raised a number of issues that we'll come back to when we come back from this break.
And let me also inform us that we are on YouTube Live Splash 1055. We are there live on YouTube. You can also watch us.
And on Facebook as well.
Stay with us, don't go away.
Oh, my stomach. Andrew's public action gently soothes and brings you back to life.
Stomach discomfort, burning sensation in the throat, chest or stomach. Andrew's liver salts fight indigestion and heartburn fast. If symptoms persist after 2 days, consult your doctor.
Put on your dancing shoes. It's time to groove as African Magic presents Owambe Saturday with Indomie, hosted by Your. Party with your favorite live band and enjoy authentic African live music performances with Playwright Band, Rockers Band, The Eagle Band, The Kankos Band, and Moment Band every Saturday night from 8:30 p.m. on African Magic Urban and Family on DSTV and GoTV Channel 2. It's live band music experience you will love.
Owambe Saturday is proudly sponsored by Indomie, tasty nutrition. Good for you.
Who papa and mama they call for family matter? You. Who brother and sister they go meet for everything? You. Who pikin they see as their personal person? You. Everything are you. You fit carry everybody wahala for your back. But when time reach for sleep, make Muka well-being mattress do your back well. Nigerian Society of Physiotherapy don't endorse Muka well-being. It go carry your back like pikin. Come massage all the pressure point where they your body make you fit sleep cool. Your body go strong and you fit continue to be everybody personal person. Muka, they add comfort to life.
My name na Efe, but my friends they call me Phil. Every time I play, na so I dey lose like play. But as I begin play 1xBet, na so my level change. Now my friends they call me Efrebo. 1xBet, you go win so tey you go tire. Go for 1xbet.ng for more tori.
DSTV is bringing back the big leagues.
Is your heart racing yet? I know mine is.
Get ready for live sport.
It's been a while.
Time to get on the couch and shout for your favorite stars from the biggest and best sporting leagues in the world.
What about that?
Reconnect to DSTV and get upgraded now for free and see the stars you've actually heard of in the only place you can watch them. DSTV, the home of live sport.
Get up and go. With countdown choco. Go. Get up and go. No matter what you gotta do it. Countdown choco. By the rich man's art for vitality. Get up and go. Stay strong, save the world, take action. Get up and go.
Cowbell chocolates with Vitarich plus iron.
Cowbell, I wanna look.
right, it's still the big conversation on Splash FM 105.5. Today is June 12th, and it's a day that comes with a lot of stories. And one of those stories we are going to be unraveling on the program today. We'll have Chief Ni Akinola, SAN. We still have Professor Isaac Albert, as well as Chief Professor Oyelowo Oyewo in the house. We're doing justice to the matter. Before we went on that break, we were talking about why during this Fourth Republic we've not been able to evolve a constitution that is democratic indeed. And the senior advocate was saying that it is because the elite have, stalled the process. And he also said he's part of the elite. It's gratifying to hear that the elite are owning up to the fact that they are... Prof, I didn't say that. But let's do political science a little. Prof, you were talking about democracy, and you were saying that what we have, my own reading of what you said looks like we have a semi-democracy, or what you call a jaundiced democracy. So, if you look at the 1999 Constitution as amended, it's very centrist. It sounds like, and it looks like, indeed, a military, a military setup, just giving the toga of Agbada and the rest of it. But you've attended conferences. You were in the 2014 conference. A lot of, recommendations came from that conference that would have helped to, rejig or configure this constitution. It has not happened. It's still the elite, right?
Yes, I absolutely support what my senior brother here said, that the elite, we are to blame for what is happening to this country. You see, in order to have democracy, you need three important elements.
Okay.
The first one is you need knowledge of democracy.
Okay.
Because it's one thing for you to be practicing democracy, and it is another for you not to be aware of what democracy is all about. The second one is that apart from knowledge, you also need passion. And you need skill. Okay, the second one should be skills. If you've read your democracy books very well, you have gone through the trenches and you are back and whatever. But the question is, do you have the skills for practicing democracy? Then the third one is the passion. Now, when you were asking, you were actually trying to say that Professor Oyewa is now part of it. No, he's not part of it. He's contributing knowledge to democratic governance.
Right.
He's contributing skills. But if those who brought him from Lagos to this place don't have the passion, there is little. If they don't give him, so please, by the time he's leaving Ibadan, don't say he was the commissioner of justice. He would his own participation in the system is limited to provision of knowledge and provision of skills, and you can provide it to those who don't have passion, and they will tell you go to hell with your knowledge. And that was why Baba once said, Baba Obasanjo, he said, look, I'm appointing you as advisors. He said, I'm not banned by your advice. So let us get that clearly. Now, what my senior brother here was saying is that, why, he blamed the elite for, and to me, I would say, we are to blame because the passion for democratic governance is not there. If you don't have the passion to actually change anything in the society beyond yourself, then there is a problem. Now, you call attention to the conferences, the conferences we attended. He attended more conferences than Professor Albert. I attended only one. But from that conference, I was brought into several technical whatever. But yes, I was brought on board other technical assignments. But the point is that if those who are leading us are not interested in change, there is no way those conferences would ever benefit the benefit the society. In fact, some weeks ago I was discussing with some of my colleagues that we did ourselves a great injustice by not using the report of the 2014 conference. I was brought to that conference as a professor of security studies. I was consulted, I was asked by the presidency if I would like to play that role. So I did not go there to represent any ethnic group. I did not go there to represent any religious group. But when we got to that meeting, the likes of yes, the senior advocate here came to some of us to say, well, you did not come under the banner of this group, but you must come to participate in our technical meetings. And it was then I started to have respect for them. These people will stay throughout the night thinking about how this country could be bettered. Now we have produced a report, and I was not happy with them. I'm confessing to him here, because the conference will end around 5 o'clock. Then they will come and drag you around 7 o'clock. You will hold meetings throughout the night. Then early in the morning again, you are going back to that conference. So when I see people abusing Yoruba leaders, honestly, I call them. I say, look, I knew the one he suffered when he was deputy speaker. But it was when I got to that conference, I started having sympathy for some of these people who well, on paper we say they claim, but who are our leaders? Unfortunately, as I said to my colleagues a few weeks ago, we're losing them. Where is Baba? They know that old man. Is it Baba? Olaniwo? Many of these people, we are losing them one by one. And these are the people that are left. But is his opinion respected? So, what we're trying to say is that there must be the will before we can have the right constitution. When you ask Seun, when you ask him, your last question to him, I was looking at his mouth, whether he would tell you part of what we experienced at the national conference. At the national conference, somebody stood up, I don't want to mention the name, and said, what you are calling Nigerian constitution was written by one man here in this meeting.
And the man was there.
And he was there. Yes, probably the senior advocate will tell us the name of the person. It was Yadudu. This document was written by Yadudu. So when somebody,
it wasn't written by, it was a committee who wrote it. It was just part of it.
He chaired the committee.
He chaired it by virtue of being the special advisor.
Even the attorney general, that attorney general who was not consulted, Dr. Olatunbosun was there.
So this document, when you look at the constitution, I'm not a lawyer, but when you look at the constitution, you see all kinds of contradictions all over the place. Actually, but that is what is governing Nigeria today.
The 1999 constitution, the decree that brought it into effect, makes it clear that it is just a necessary amendment of the 1979 constitution. That's why he says about it.
So, Prof, let me cut you. Why? Just a little bit. No, for you, a little bit. So, why couldn't democracy give us the people's constitution? I'll come back to what I asked him.
It's very simple. Some of it have been stated. Call it elite, call it, but it's the political class. Yes. Albert was saying there are some necessary. If you have a seed, if you're going to put it in the soil, you know the yield is going to be different. To use the parable of the sower, if you put it in a hard rock, it's not going to produce much for you. If you put it in a good soil. So what are those things that could constitute the good soil for the democratization process to produce democracy? One, as we mentioned, you need a political class that will have the political will, wisdom, and skill to play the game. You need the ground rules. And the ground rules is what we're trying to get at, which is autochthonous. And when you talk about the autochthonous process, autochthonous is both procedural and substantive. What we mean by procedural is not just sufficient to hold conferences. How did you come about the conference? Are the people representative? Did you go through an election? Did you go to a selection? Did you go to... So can you really say that those people that gathered are not political jobbers who are the problem? They cannot be part of the solution. So basically, the process that produces it, I had the privilege of also participating in this 2014 as a consultant to the House of Rep in the National Assembly. And we were supposed to bring in the 2014 summit. But when the thing was going, the question they asked is that what was the agenda of the government in setting up that 2014 thing, when it has said that it was not going to do it. So towards the tail end of the Jonathan administration came this thing. So basically, it was not an altruistic, motivated, procedure. So of course, there was a dichotomy between the executive and the legislature that will bring this process about. And then, even when the legislature now took up this thing, they went to court and stopped it. You remember the debate whether or not President Jonathan had the veto power to sign or the and then of course Assembly. The court gave the interpretation that since it says that it is a bill, so the provisions of sections 8 and 9 will not be interpreted alone. They will be interpreted with the procedure for lawmaking, and because of that, the president still has the right, and of course the whole thing. So the question of whether we want to get a political constitutional democracy. If you look at the democratic governments that we are copying, they probably had this conference once. If you look at America, they probably had this conference once. And they have evolved. No democracy is perfect. The American democracy, we are seeing it unravel with George Ford, the inherent hatred for the black person in that community. And so if you look at the political process, if you look at the procedure, and then you look at the forces, the dynamic forces at play. Don't forget that in Nigeria, the political terrain, constitution or no constitution, is not devoid of interest. So there are centrifugal and centripetal forces that are at work to make sure that the establishment, so it becomes a system of some forces producing what you call institutional inflexibility. Because if the institution changes, then their interests will be, so you have the new guard and the old guard. And the old guard, there are oligarchies within this system that make sure that their interest is inherently preserved and protected. So whether you have a new constitution or you have a new constitution, they will be the one that are controlling. And you will see them manifesting in populating their people in institutional positions. So NNPC, ask yourself, who are the people in control of NNPC?
Okay. I want to say, these are very revealing thoughts that Nigeria will need to look at very closely. Prof, still on the constitution, but on a different dimension. One institution that had suffered a whole lot in this democratic experiment is the local government.
Yes.
Do you agree with that?
Well, I don't agree.
Okay, let me give you my essence. The local government seems to have been under the control of the governors over the years. Many people have argued that, do we have 3 tiers of governance in Nigeria or 2 tiers of governance in Nigeria by the dictate of our constitution? And it looks like the local government is not operational in Nigeria because we have not seen the local government taking hold of its terrain as it should. What is happening to our local government?
Well, again, I think I have to go back to the point made by Professor Albert. It is the structure we are operating. It is the structure that has shaped the way of governance in this country. I would not want to put the blame at the doorstep of the executive arm of government at the central level, but rather put at the doorstep of the structure. You cannot place something on nothing and you expect it to stand. After 1979, we had Decree 50 of 1991, which we operated upon as the Third Republic. It was a combination of what we had in the First Republic and the Second Republic. And that decree, don't forget that we had another conference in 2005. Obasanjo, before 2014. And again, I come back to the issue of the role of the elites. The elites, at every point in time, erect roadblocks. Let's come back home to the Southwest. When we were to go, we were given 15 slots. And Ogun State alone took 13. Yes, of the 15. My governor and the governor of Ondo State work out on the other bay at Iperu, they had a meeting at Iperu. I was there. Of course, I was nominated by 3 different groups. My state governor, the state government nominated me. The NBA nominated me. Of course, the pro-democracy group nominated me. And but when we got there, like Professor Abba said, first and foremost, I'm a Yoruba man. I have to key into it. And again, I had a mandate from my state. Those of us who went from Oyo State, one from Ibadan, one from Ogbomoso, one from Okiogun. That's how we were nominated. And when we got there, of course, we had a mandate from our own people. Because my governor had worked out on our fathers at Iperu over the combination of the delegates and the composition. Of course, the party, as it were, the then ACN said it was not participating, but still nominated us there. And all the governors still nominated people. But as a party, because they didn't want to, the then government of Jonathan to claim credit for. So, but we still went there. When we got there, 2 things played out. The twin evil of Nigerian that has seen this called evil of Nigerian factors called ethnicity and religion came to the fore. Played out. Yes. And when each time we proposed a particular policy that should go to the constitution, somebody somewhere will block it. I remember I served in the most important committee, the Committee on Devolution of Powers, where I was. And we had heated argument. It was there, myself and Senator Adefuye. We are telling our elders, the Chief Adebanjo, you are putting too much trust in this people. They had this idea that, well, the north is broken, there is no monolithic. But we discovered along the line that when the chiefs are down, a northerner is a northerner. Including our own brother from Kwara and Kogi State.
They were holding meetings all over the place.
At the conference.
At the conference. They were holding their own meetings.
The likes of Chibayo Joe, even Isa Aremu, who is an Oyo person like me.
They were holding meetings with the northerners. They were holding meetings with the northerners.
Of course, yes.
From Kwara.
The Tiligado from Kwara.
Tiligado from Benue.
And Bemi Saraki was in the same committee with me. But they fought alongside with their northern.
Maybe they are northerners.
So when the chiefs are down, the little stinker that pull the strings up there, they are there. We call them the gatekeepers. They exist everywhere.
So what will liberate the local government?
No, I'm coming to that. Now, when we come to the issue of revenue allocation, we came with the derivation formula. And that's okay. For those of us from the West, we have no problem with anybody. If you have your hair, you can keep your hair. But let us keep what we do have. This derivation principle of 13%, let it reflect, let it capture the issue of VAT and custom duties.
There's a lot of money coming from the West.
And they discovered, they became afraid. They became jittery. I introduced that. I said, well, if you don't have this, we are going to have yours. So we could not agree. We have to keep that in abeyance. You see, and just retain what was there before. For us to move to increase it from that 13% to any other thing, we are bringing in the VAT and the payment. Custom. I come from a state. My state has the longest borderline in Nigeria, in the southwest. My state is the largest state in the entire southern part of the country. In fact, the geographical arithmetic of Nigeria shows that your state alone has equivalent of the equivalent landmass of what the entire southeast put together. All of them put together have. In fact, the size of Ido alone, which is the largest local government in Oyo State today, is more than that of Anambra and Abia put together. So when you have that type of geographical I'd make it at the back of your mind, because I have to engage a political scientist to accompany me.
Brought a PhD holder to have him to work for him.
To work for me as my PA.
A PhD holder.
Yes. You see, when people talk about conference, I just laugh because they don't know what they're talking about.
My boss. So you see, I understand the political and geographical arithmetic of where I'm coming from. I appreciate the fact that my state alone, so it's 3 times the size of Ogun State. It's more than 7 times the size of Ekiti State. I appreciate the fact that the entire voting population of Ekiti State is equivalent of that of Ibadan, not local government. Wow. So these are the back of my mind. I was up to play. Look, if you want this, Bayelsa, yes, you have the oil. You have the smallest state in the country in terms of landmass, but you have the oil. No problem. I don't have problem with you. You can keep the process of your oil, but let me to keep the process of the custom and excise duties and the process of VAT. Of course, the opposite. So you can see that came to the fore. So when you now come back to the issue of local government, the question is, how do we get 774 local government in the first place? Huh?
What mathematical formula led to that?
What led to it? So these are the considerations. These are the things. You can't just say they are not reflecting it. There's no federal system in the world where you have 3 systems of government. There are only 2.
Is that where you stand too?
Yes.
You have just 2.
Let's face it. You are going to have effective local government. If you want to have effective local government administration, I attended IDC primary school. How many local government have primary school today? Take a look around you in Ibadan. All the new developed areas. No public utilities there. Anywhere. Along the express road, just look at the left. If you are coming from Ojo, you don't find any public primary school or secondary anywhere down to Akon.
Could it not be because
primary health center will not be, because we've taken out, we have centralized everything. The Dasuki Commission of Inquiry that was put in place in 1976 that put this local government thing in place didn't take into consideration our cultural diversities.
But in the 80s, when the primary health care philosophy came up,
before the 80s,
it was predicated on the strength of the local government in Nigeria.
Excuse me. In order to clarify, the whole essence of centralization, the Dasuki report, was because of the failure of the existing local government systems.
Okay.
Which was truncated by the military.
Yeah, apart from even being truncated, it was thought that it was necessary to bring in some autonomy. But in going to that, it became another failure in application of a good idea. Because even though we always say that local government is local, the local government in Ijikoka cannot be the same with the local government in Ido. So basically, we lost the opportunity. Yes, we can create autonomy for the local government, but we need not have unitarized and centralized.
Just a moment. The truth of the matter is that when you look at the local government we are operating, 774, was it equitable in distribution? What were the parameters that we are using bringing them about?
Okay.
All this we are not taking into consideration.
Professor Albert,
you look at the local government as it is. Even the prevailing situation on our hands. When the last administration was in power, you look at Ibadan Joint Properties Limited, which I incorporated in 1990 for them. That comprises a body of 11 local governments in Ibadan land. They own the properties. The government came, saw this is buoyant. That's our own Odua in Ibadan land. All of them put their eyes there. They wanted to bring it under
the government,
under the state government, so that the revenue, as we stand today, as we are speaking today, under the 4th schedule of the constitution, no state has the power to be collecting tenement
rate and all that.
Parks, what are they doing?
Okay, so it still comes back to the question.
So we are just not there.
It still comes back to the question that I want to put the question to Prof. You see, when Professor Yewa was talking earlier, he said the political class. Yes. I know something that
not just political class, everybody.
And the elite. I know something that when policies come and the rest of you made reference to your participation in the national conference, and when it comes to ideation and concepts and all that, they bring technocrats into play. But when it comes to
implementing,
what the technocrats that you trusted in the initial stage, when it comes to implementing these things, then interests take over, and then whatever it is that the heads have thought out, becomes annulled.
I think Professor Iwo captured that vividly.
He did.
You see, let's face it, what he said, look at it. Most of this, when you bring, he said everybody should show interest. When you bring in a technocrat that doesn't know the geographical arithmetic of where it's operating, that doesn't know the political arithmetic, that knows nothing about what you are just bringing, he will fail.
Okay, so on that basis now, you think that we should just assume that we have 2 tiers of government, not local government?
In the proper federal system of government, that's what it should be.
Let me come in with what we saw at the conference. Let me come in with what we saw at the conference. I have always been a supporter of local government autonomy. You see, the national conference for me was a very big classroom, and honestly, I took several lessons from that conference. At the conference, we resolved that we should have a 2-tier system, federal and state. And it took time before we could agree, or before I supported it. But let me give you an example of what has happened to Nigeria. In the process of creating local governments, a section of this country is continuously empowering itself. Before the local government reform that the Yar'Adua one that we're talking about, Lagos and Kano, they were having the same local number of local governments. But what did they do? They broke Lagos. Kano State was broken into 2. Jigawa was created out of Kano State. Now, whereas Lagos State is still receiving 1 naira today, Jigawa and Kano 3 naira. You see, the structure of Nigeria, the structure of Nigeria has been tampered with so much that a lot of resources are being taken from the south.
So there's an imbalance.
Yes, imbalance. Now I also went to the committee that worked on Lagos, Southwest. And at that conference, at that committee meeting, I realized that it's not true that it's only oil that is sustaining Nigeria. The exercise, let's even talk about the mineral resources in Lagos State, the taxes, the VAT and everything.
The cost of excise.
Yes, from Lagos alone constituted about 34%.
Wow.
But you see, we are made not to see any of these things. You see, the impression is created that it's just Lagos State. The impression is created that it is just Southwest. But it's like as you are throwing the resources into a basket, it goes off to somewhere else.
Where is it going?
Well, let's not use sharing formula. Look at my state. It was there.
Look at Oyo State. Oyo State has no official.
It was there. Official border. It was at that level that the conference resolved to say, okay, let us stop this brain box called local government, so that if you are giving the money to states, let them go and create as many local governments as Lagos. If you want to create 1,000 local governments, but in the process of doing that, you have blocked one of the channels by which this country is being swindled.
I think the point it has been made is that when you start using local government as one of the criteria for revenue allocation, you have the incongruous local government system that we have. Interestingly, Section 7 of the Constitution guarantees, a system of democratically elected system of local government.
The local government.
And we have had so many decisions of the Supreme Court. In fact, the Supreme Court was getting to the point that the Attorney General was taking every Supreme Court decision and wanting to enforce it. But it doesn't work out that way.
In fact, 2 months ago, there was another judgment from the Supreme Court from Cross River, where one councillor went to court and he won. That
but you see, from collecting money to hit the nail on the head. There is a discordance in the constitutional arrangement, particularly relating to tenure in the local government, which causes the dissolution of local government by governors. It's a political process issue. If local government is 3 years and governor is 4 years, we don't go in together. And let's say there is party alternation, like in your state. You have a local government that was existing, that was APC, and then you have one that is coming in that is PDP, and you think things are going to be normal. Things are not going to be normal. So I think there is a need for a wholesale reform of the local government system. Let's rethink it. Even if we are going to go the third tier, there are so many things that we don't need to. There are so many baggages that have been tied to the local government that makes it a crybaby that is always thrown out. So I believe the local government system, as we have under the constitution now, is not going to deliver an autonomous local government system for us. Because political process and the tensions that are inherently buried into that system will always, counter the institution that has been created by the constitution.
It's practically impossible to discuss Nigeria in 2 hours.
Yes.
And so we cannot exhaust all of these issues. But let's stop on this one and move on to something else.
Yes.
We want to move on to the Executive Order 10. And I know that the lawyers in our midst will be able to speak about it. I want to start with Professor Yewo. And the simple reason is that my colleague will go to SAN. You are working with the governor right now as an Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice. Why are governors in their group seemingly coming against a constitutionally guaranteed provision of independence for the legislature, for the judiciary? And we need an executive order, really.
I think that's
do we need
where,
it?
I think that's where you mixing it up. There is a constitutional provision. You don't need an executive order.
So I'm looking at this. So
what you need is for the provisions to be made functional. Don't forget that the constitutional amendment that produced the autonomy of the legislature and judiciary went through a constitutional amendment process. So once it becomes the constitution, we have a principle of covering the field. The provisions of the constitution are sufficient in themselves. And when they are not insufficient, laws are made, not executive orders. So state laws are necessary. So you find out that even though the executive are pushing towards it, they realize that it is impracticable. Because if you look at that executive order, it's a usurpation of powers.
In what way?
The Attorney General now controls the states. The Attorney General of the Federation control the whole state. The Accountant General of the... Actually, the Accountant General is not of the Federation. It's the National Accountant General. As every state has Accountant General. Attorney General is the National Attorney General. As every state has its Attorney General. The fact that we use the misnomer of Attorney General of the Federation gives the impression that Attorney General is a supervisory Attorney General over all the other Attorney Generals.
But he is not.
It's not. We run a federal system of government. Yes, that is what the Constitution provides.
SN.
Yes, it's the bastardization of the structure. The Constitution makes it clear, but because we have a hangover for a period of military rule, and we have a military head of state in Agbada, he doesn't see anything wrong with it.
Senior advocate, I will come to you, sir.
Before you take the microphone, I think this issue of Order 10, people need to go and read the Order 10. Go and read it. Read what it says. When you read it, you don't. When you have people as old as Professor Mwabweze coming out of retirement, as it were, to come and say that this thing is unconstitutional, you know that it is something that is not well thought out and flies in the face of the constitutional provision.
You said that it flies in the face of constitution. 1213 of the 1999 Constitution here says any amount standing to the credit of the judiciary in the consolidated revenue fund of the state shall be paid directly to the heads of the courts concerned.
Some of the states are already implementing that.
Of course, so, that has been done.
What we are saying is this. 2 days ago, like the Delta State House of Assembly passed and the governor signed it immediately.
Exactly.
Okay. So
my
some
own
of the states
question
are already is there already.
It's there. It's
but
been
my
worked.
own question is why is there a collective resistance? That's the question.
The collective resistance is because of the overreaching of the powers of the federal government in that other 10.
Seun,
No, it is even beyond that. It is again the problem of the elites. Some people see it as this an opportunity for us to be in charge. They are not considering the implication. Yeah. They've forgotten that there will be a time in your life when there will be a Pharaoh that do not know your Joseph. Now, and that's the problem we have in this country. We don't take into consideration most of the times the far-reaching implications of our actions. I just made mention of Professor Nwabwe say now. Nwabwe was the author of decree one, the unification decree. So when we are doing something,
these are things that we need to know.
We must be mindful of our action before the fourth alteration. Let me confess my biases here. I must say that I happen to be the lead counsel that wrote legal opinion for the Southwest governors over this issue. Before they even went to the meeting with, happened to be myself, Owonikoko, as I wrote the even Adegurua that was in support. When he saw our position, he called me to Oga. We never knew all the because many of them don't think.
Yeah, you've not read it all that time.
They don't go. You see, especially where the Attorney General will now be ordering the accountant to deduct money from the states. It's not. I mean, and again, any executive order is just like practice direction of the court. The executive order cannot override the provision of the Constitution or even the statute. Even the Supreme Court had to strike down its own practice direction in the face of a statute. It's in against Adebayo. So in other words, when you put something in place, well, we are trying to make a monster out of our governors and the president. And when we are creating this program, we don't know. We just clap. Of course, it's an emotive issue.
Okay.
You see, it's a very emotional thing because those of them in the judiciary see it as is there anybody saying anything against it as an enemy? Even my wife didn't agree with me because it's on the bench. You see, but the truth of the matter is that I see beyond what they are saying. You see, no reasonable person. You see, no reasonable person will want a situation where the judiciary will be asked. What is happening today is that most of the states see the judiciary as an appendage of the Ministry of Justice, where the CJ we have to go and sit down.
No, not in Oyo State.
Looking for, I'm not asking for.
Not in Oyo State. No.
But it doesn't happen.
But in most states, they have to go and sit down and be cap in hand. Looking for, just before the COVID-19.
The CJN said so too. When it was in the last.
Yes,
it said so.
Yes, they go there. And that's what is happening. Just before COVID-19, I know what some CJs around us suffered. They want to go for retreat. Normally, you know, what they get to go out. In fact, the judiciary of Ogun State was already in inside the airplane going to Sao Tome when they called them that they will not be able to land. So they couldn't go. Those of Oyo State, nobody says anything about it. They don't go anywhere. You don't have the fund. The capital project that they should carry out. In fact, you say abandoned projects all over the. Look at the High Court in Ring Road.
I know
because the money when the fourth administration came, it now included the state legislature.
Okay.
Yeah.
The legislature was not there in that one section. It was not there. So it was not part of it. Even then.
Even local government.
But not all the states ratified it.
Okay. We want to go on a break.
Must appreciate all this.
But let me give you 1 minute. Just make your comment and then we'll go on break. We have two things to do. Let me state it. We want to speak in Yoruba for our Yoruba audience. A brief of what we have been saying. So I want to manage the time very well. So just 1 minute to make your contribution on this and then we'll go for a break.
Well, I think the point I'm just trying to make is that by this order, the impression is created that the federal government is interested in independence of the three arms of government. But the question we want to ask ourselves is that, do we have this in Abuja? Do we have this at federal level? Is the parliament in Abuja independent? Is the judiciary in Abuja independent? Over to you.
Okay, good.
So because you cannot be marketing what you are not.
Okay.
About on section 3, this one you want to
Because there are deeper issues than this.
Yes, deeper issues.
I'll raise one thing. When you even talk about budgeting, do we sufficiently budget for these arms of government?
Arms of government.
Do we sufficiently budget for the judiciary?
And it's one thing for you to budget, another thing to release
the money.
Okay.
We have a break.
We have a break right now. Thank you. It's getting very hot and interesting, and I'm appreciating you. We still have our gentlemen in the studio and holding it down on these issues. Stay with us as we go on the break. We'll be back in a moment.
Let's take you on a journey into the future with a touch of Daffodil's corporate image. Are you into printing business in search of quality and exquisite world-class product, or an event planner with a desire to create a lasting impression with your brand imaging, or a manufacturer looking for a catchy label for your products? Daffodil's corporate image is here for you. At Daffodils, we offer you a world-class digital sublimation production, direct-to-substrate ultraviolet printing, product labels, sticker printing, and high precision laser engraving. Our direct-to-garment production gives your t-shirt a second-to-none superb color brilliance and durability that will blow your mind. Contact us today at this Grace House, 16B, Oyo Road, opposite Oando Petrol Station, Mokola, Ibadan. Daffodil's corporate image. We make your brand stand out.
My son, it's almost 8 days. Where is your wife? Let her bring your daughter for circumcision. Baba Lola is waiting.
No, Mama. We will take her to a health worker who is the professional.
I don't want my granddaughter to be promiscuous when she grows up. Baba Lola will do a very good job and will remove everything.
Uncle Kunle, why are you quiet? Say something now before the sun rises.
Both of you are wrong. Female circumcision does not prevent promiscuity. Rather, proper home upbringing does. Anybody, health worker or local circumciser that does circumcision will go to prison.
Prison care? Why?
Female circumcision is harmful, causes bleeding, severe pain, keloid, death, complications during childbirth, and the law of the land is against it. So, let's protect the rights of the girl child.
Okay, my son, let's take your uncle's advice to save my granddaughter.
Female genital mutilation is harmful, no matter who, where, or how it is performed. This corporate social responsibility message is brought to you by UNFPA UNICEF campaign to end FGM in Nigeria.
Oh, my stomach.
Stomach discomfort, burning sensation in the throat, chest, or stomach. Andrew's liver salts fight indigestion and heartburn fast. If symptoms persist after 2 days, consult your doctor.
My name na Efe, but my friends they call me Phil. Every time I play, na so I dey lose like play. But as I begin play 1xBet, na so my level change. Now my friends they call me Efrebo. 1xBet, you go win so you go tire. Go for 1xBet.ng for more tori.
Hi, Uche. Why are you sweating like this?
Femi, this heat is something else. So even the fan is not helping at all.
So get an air conditioner.
Air conditioner? How? With my small generator?
Yes, you can. With LG Gen Cool air conditioner.
Really? How?
You can power a 1 horsepower LG Gen Cool air conditioner with 0.7 kVA generator and 1.5 horsepower with a 0.9 kVA generator.
Wow! And I have been suffering all along.
And you also get 70% energy saving, 40% faster cooling, and still cut down on your electricity bill.
Ouchie, thanks. I need to get going.
Where are you off to?
I cannot bear this heat. I'm going to the nearest LG store to buy an LG Gen Cool air conditioner.
Relax and enjoy in comfort with LG Gen Cool air conditioner. And it comes with a 10-year warranty on the compressor. LG, life's good.
We all want that unique, durable, large format portrait picture, time-tested and memorable personal gifts for our loved ones and souvenirs for our ceremonies and occasions. How about classy awards and recognition plaques for your special occasions and the latest designs of promotional items for your business and organizations? Daffodils Corporate Image Limited gives you all these and more. We manufacture extremely durable and virtually indestructible high-definition picture printing on metal from small to very large format, guaranteed to last up to 150 years. For all these and more, visit Daffodils Corporate Image Limited today at Grace House, 16B, Oyo Road, opposite Oando Petrol Station, Mokola, Ibadan. Daffodils Corporate Image Limited, the brand that makes your brand stand out.
I wanna be a billionaire.
Àti dọ́lọ́rọ̀ kúrò nínú ipò kòsíkòsí ojoojúmọ́ kì í ṣàfẹnusọ nìkan. Ìgbésẹ̀ lèyìn á gbé. Bẹ́ẹ̀ bá béèrè lọ́wọ́ àwọn tọ́lọ́rọ̀ rọ̀ lọ́rọ̀. Jákèjádò àgbáláyé ọ̀nà tètò ìṣúná wọn fi ń gbéra lójoojúmọ́. Wọ́n á dá yín lóhùn pé ìdókòwò ni kọ́kọ́rọ́ tó ṣílẹ̀kùn ọ̀la. Ìwọ náà dìde lónìí. Darapọ̀ mọ́ ètò ìpín ìdókòwò iléeṣẹ́ Crime Alert Security Network Limited. Níbi tí èrè ńlá yóò ti máa gorí owó péréte. Tó o bá fi dókòwò lọ́dọ̀ wa. Ẹ lè darapọ̀ mọ́ ètò yìí níbi gbogbo tẹ́ ẹ bá wà lórílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà àti jákèjádò àgbáláyé. Kàn sí wọn lónìí lórí ìtàkùn àgbáyé www.thecrimesαλert.org tàbí kẹ̀kẹ́ sórí ẹ̀rọ ìbánisọ̀rọ̀ 00066 18 19 11 àti 08035 29 60 02 láti júwe àwọn iléeṣẹ́ wa tó súnmọ́ àgbègbè tẹ́ ẹ wà. Ṣé ẹ gbàgbé pé iléeṣẹ́ Crime Alert máa ń gbógun ti wọ̀ ọ̀daràn ni? Àwa gan ò sì ní sọ́ra wa dọ̀daràn. Crime Alert Security Network Limited. Your safety and security is our priority.
Thank you for being there with us. This is still Splash 105.5 FM. The big conversation it is, and the time is really fast spent. We may not be able to cover all the grounds, but at this time, we would like to take your calls. If you want to call us and ask our panelists any question that's agitating your mind, 0809 155 1055, 0805 699 8678, and 0706 949 3000. We'll take a few calls for your contributions. If you want to also contribute to us on Facebook, we're there. On YouTube, we're equally there. We still have our panelists right here with us in the studio. SAN, Chief Akinola is here. Professor Albert is also here. And the Commissioner for Justice, Professor Yolowo Oyewo, is also here. Gentlemen, thank you for being here. The President spoke earlier today at around 7 a.m. on democracy. Nti wọ́n sì sọ ni pé ó yẹ kí a lè máa gbé nǹkan tí a mọ̀ sí òmìnira àwọn èèyàn tó wà nílùú Nàìjíríà yìí, the rule of law, òmìnira òfin, pé kó jẹ́ ohun tí a máa fi ẹsẹ̀ wálé dáadáa. Ṣùgbọ́n tá a bá wò dáadáa, ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àwọn oníròyìn ni wọ́n ti fi òfin gbé nílùú yìí tó jẹ́ pé wọ́n fi wọ́n pamọ́. Tàbá rántí Agbajalingo dáadáa nílùú yìí tí wọ́n fi pamọ́ síbi kan tí àwọn èèyàn bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní sọ̀rọ̀ nípa ẹ̀. President sọ pé òun rí dájú wípé àtẹ̀lófin ẹ bá wò dáadáa ní agbọ̀n ọbẹ̀ yẹn ṣáà ń tẹ̀lófin ẹsẹ̀ ẹ̀.
Well, àtẹ̀lófin, in fact, one of the grudges tèmi ní against àwọn clergymen wa ní Nàìjíríà ni pé bá dé church àti mọ́sálásí ó kọ̀ ẹ̀já gbàdúrà fáwọn olórí orílẹ̀-èdè wa fàlàáfíà. Tèmi dẹ̀ ka ní wílé tó kọ́ mi ní pé ọ̀rọ̀ Ọlọ́run ní let justice roll down like water so that there will be peace in the land. In other words, justice ni foundation of peace. Ìdájọ́ òdodo kéèyàn tẹ̀lé òfin òun ní ìbẹ̀rẹ̀ àlàáfíà. Ṣùgbọ́n kí là ń ṣe Nàìjíríà yìí tó máa gbàdúrà pé ẹja gbàdúrà fọlá ọ̀rẹ́ lálàáfíà tó bá sí ìdájọ́ òdodo tí wọ́n bá lè dúró lórí òfin ilẹ̀ Nàìjíríà. There are enough in our status books láti gáàdì gbogbo wa. Ṣùgbọ́n n tó ṣe wá ni pé ààrẹ dì láti tẹ̀lé òfin orílẹ̀-èdè yìí. A Nigerian is as simply until he holds public office. Má ti sọ pé Nigerian kan good ó yàn gidi ni tí ò bá ti lágbára ìjọba lọ́wọ́ ìjọba ti da lágbára ìjọba báyìí ó ti ya nǹkan mi complete gentleman fine man tó jẹ́ pé wẹ́n mọ̀ pé èèyàn gidi ọmọlúwàbí ni tó bá ti gbà ó dàgbé nǹkan kó wà níjọba tó bá yà wọ́n wèrè tó bá ti gbà báyìí ó máa di nǹkan míì ni mo ní ọ̀rẹ́ kan tó jẹ́ gọ́fúnà mo ní àṣé nǹkan kan tó máa yà yín wèrè bá dé gọ́fúnà ó ló wà mo ní kíni yẹn ó ló wà
kí wà ní nǹkan náà
ó máa gbọ́ wa báyìí ó ló wà mo ní kíni yẹn ó ní tó ṣẹlẹ̀ ní pé nígbà táwọn bá ti débẹ̀ ó ní àwọn èèyàn gidi àwọn òkèrè wọn mọ́ ó ní àwọn èèyàn gidi wọ́n máa ń sá fáwọn ó tó bá wá tó bá ti dúró ìṣẹ́jú márùn tó bá ti dá lówó ló ń lọ ti ẹ̀ nìyẹn ẹ̀gbọ́n sọ pé olóòótọ́ òkè ń lẹ́ni ó ń bọ̀ táwọn charlatans yẹn ó láwọn làwọn kọ̀ọ̀kan jírí láàárọ̀ àwọn náà dẹ̀ máa rí káwọn tó lọ sùn ó mọ̀ táwọn bá ṣe báyìí táwọn bá forí náà táwọn bá ṣe yóò tó lọ ó mọ̀ sọ pé your excellency everything is fine they are speaking well of you yà á mọ nothing nǹkan tí D'Estaing sọ former president France ó ní have no enemy create one have no opposition create one your yes opponent bring the best out of you that fellow that tells you something even our forefathers too they are great philosophers wọ́n ní ẹni tó bá wà tí ò bá lólùbáwí tí ẹ ti tán there must be somebody you defer to ẹnì kan wà tó láti jẹ pé tí ó lè bẹ́ẹ̀ sọ̀rọ̀ pé ẹni yìí máa bá ẹ sọ̀rọ̀. ẹnìkan tí mo ń tọ́ la sọ ni pé ẹ jẹ́ ká tábà lè tẹ̀lé òfin kò sí wàhálà gbogbo tá à ń sọ tá a ti sọ látàtàárọ̀ àtẹ̀lé òfin ló fà á.
òfin wa náà ni ẹnìkan tẹ àtẹ̀ránṣẹ́ sí mi ní ìsìn ó ní nígbà tí SAN sọ pé kò sí estate nídò ó ní èwo ni tí wọ́n ń pè ní owóde estate tó wà nídò pé ṣé kìí ṣe estate lélẹ́yìn o ni èmi kí mo kọ́ ọ ẹnìkan lọ́kọ́ ọlọ́jà ìwé kàyé o.
state government ni Ọ̀yọ́ State Housing Corporation ló ní ṣẹ́gẹ́tẹ̀ ó sì wà ní Bódé Igbó ọ̀kan wà ní Owódé local government kan ló ní.
ẹnìkan ní Amọlátóyè from Ìbàdàn ó ní gbogbo wa ń sọ̀rọ̀ nípa bí wọ́n ṣe da ìbò June 12 bí wọ́n ṣe dànù ó ní ṣùgbọ́n ẹni tó dàbò inú sì wà láyé kí ló dé tá a fi òfin gbé e rọ́sọ̀ yìí wọ̀.
bá a ṣe ń sọ náà nìyẹn bí gẹ́gẹ́ bí wọ́n ṣe ń sọ a gbọ́dọ̀ sọ̀rọ̀ nípa àgbékalẹ̀ òfin bó ṣe yàtọ̀ sí títẹ̀lé òfin. Rule of law ni àgbékalẹ̀ òfin rule by law ni títẹ̀lé òfin èèyàn lè máa tẹ̀lé òfin ní ọ̀nà tí ó tọ́ àti ọ̀nà tí ó tọ́ ẹni tí wọ́n ní ó wà láyé lénìí ó dàbí ìgbà tí òun ń lọ ó gbọ́n kúkú ó sì gbọ́n yíyè ó fi sínú òfin wa pé gbogbo ohun tóun ṣe nígbà tí òun wà ní àyè olùdarí ètò Nàìjíríà ó ti bọ́ sí òkun gbàgbé kò sí ẹjọ́ kankan tàbí ẹnì kankan tó máa ní agbára láti ní ẹ̀tọ́ láti mú òun lọ ó ti fòǹtẹ̀lé Yorùbá máa ń sọ pé àṣepamọ́ ló wà kò sí àṣegbàgbé
ẹnìkan wà lórí ìlà yìí
ní kọ́ọ̀tì àwọn èèyàn ó ṣe àṣepamọ́ ó ṣe àṣegbàgbé ṣùgbọ́n ní kọ́ọ̀tì Ọlọ́run kò sí àṣepamọ́.
hello.
ẹ káàárọ̀
ẹ mà kú ojúmọ́.
orúkọ mi ni Olúwagbémigbà mò ń pè láti Ọ̀yọ́ adẹ́kù ọjọ́ democracy day wa. mo fẹ́ kí nǹkan tí àwọn bàbá wa tó wà ń bẹ̀rẹ̀ sọ lẹ́yìn wípé báyìí pé kí àwọn olórí wa bá ti dé ipò àṣẹ nǹkan kan wà tó máa ń yá wọn wéré kó tọ́ ni nǹkan kan wà tó máa ń ṣe wọn bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn tó tọ́ because mo rántí ẹnìkan kó tó di gómìnà ní ìkan nínú àwọn ìpínlẹ̀ tí a ní ilẹ̀ Yorùbá tó bá wá sórí rédíò á bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí sọ àwọn máa ṣe náà ó máa dánú fún wa ó máa ṣe lóbẹ̀ ẹni ẹ̀dẹ̀ tó fún wa yóò tó ń bá di gómìnà wípé kò ní sí ọ́fíìsì fún ìyàwó gómìnà wípé kò sí nǹkan tó jẹ́ pé kò bófin mu ìgbà kéde dẹ́ni ẹ̀ di gómìnà ní ìkan lára àwọn ìpínlẹ̀ wa ń bíbáyìí tó bá yà wòlé mọ́ wa lọ́wọ́ bá di pé kò sí ìjọba aṣọ tó máa gbọmọ.
mi ò fẹ́ kẹ́ ẹ lo èdè yẹn ẹ mọ́ lo èdè
yẹn lágbára pọ̀
torí pé SAN ò lò bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣe ń lò yẹn o.
èmi náà lò bí wọ́n ṣe gbogbo ó ṣe pé mi náà lójú bọ́ ẹni yẹn ó dánú fún wa gan ó dánú fún wa wọ́n láwọn ó sókè délẹ̀ wọ́n láwọn ó ṣe railway line fa lọ́yọ̀ state wọ́n sọ gbogbo ẹ̀dán gbà yẹn tí náà wá ń tó.
ẹ mọ̀ ní dárúkọ Ọ̀yọ́ state already.
ẹjọ bọ̀dá Gbẹ̀ngà ṣe lè bá wa fomi la èdè yín díẹ̀ ẹjọ. ó ti kú ògbẹ.
ẹ jẹ́ àwọn tó wà ń bẹ̀ báyìí. hello.
hello.
good morning.
good morning sir.
thank you for joining the big conversation on Splash.
thank you so much. I'm from Olatunbosun.
From Olatunbosun, okay, let's talk, please.
My regards to all the panelists here.
They are so versatile. I really enjoy them. Now, I just want to ask a question still on the local government issue. Like in our constitution, anytime the constitution will pronounce anything, we say 3 tiers of government. And in Abuja today, the government receives education and local government and the great sector of government is grassroots. And you can see there's not any meaningful development as you have been saying with money. Go to any of the states. Why? Because the local government is only have to be found. My question now is, what do you think we can still do, not as an individual or as a society, to make sure that the local government exists as supposed to be as written in the constitution? In the past, in the few years ago, when you see what happened when the local government was functioning, you see how the local government may separate in some areas. Coupled with what we take done, when we marry it together, we see that there is a sort of development in the nation.
All right, that's all I can take from you at this time. Well, thank you for contributing. I'm not sure that the panelists will be able to handle all the questions you've asked because of time. But this is still June 12th edition of our Democracy Day, and we're trying to let you know that issues around our nation are important for us to discuss. Michael, you have something about the issue you raised while we're behind the microphone.
Yes, my main issue is this, and I'd like to ask all our 3 panelists this question. I understand my own layman's, political, one small idea of political science that I have. It says that there's this principle of separation of powers, checks and balances and the rest of it. My main question is, if we did not have Executive Order 10, if we did not have this bill that was signed into a law in 2018, I guess, by the president about local government, autonomy for legislature at the state and the rest of it, why is it that you quoted a certain former president of France the other time that said, have no opposition but create one? Why is it that governors have a problem tolerating dissent at their houses of assembly at the state level? You see, someone speaks against the governor, the next thing is his colleagues will impeach him. Someone says something about his, the governor, and then the next day is they remove him from one committee.
Let me answer
why
that
is
question.
This thing so?
We have
in Oyo State here, I'm talking about Oyo State.
Okay.
In Oyo State here, very recently there were stories about looming impeachment for the speaker, and then suddenly 2 days later there was a vote of confidence on the governor, and then happily ever after. Why do we have governors, holding back? Sometimes the governors will be owing the legislature salary.
I think since you are talking about your state,
just talking generally, but I want to focus on your state.
That because one, the parties involved are not here. You cannot be shaving people's head
in their absence.
Secondly, if you want us to answer the question generally,
okay, please go ahead,
not specific to your state.
Generally, and then dovetail.
And apart from that, even if it wants to be specific to your state, I think you need to be on. You need to understand the dynamism. The dynamism of the legislature that throws up impeachment may or may not be related to the executive.
Okay.
So you don't even know the wave that brought that
what I said, because they are not here. You can't
no. So basically, but he's raised it on air, and I think me being here, I have to respond to that.
Okay, sir.
Because you do not know the dynamics. It might not even have anything to do with the government. If you study and learn about the legislature itself, it's an aggregation of political, players who are struggling for recognition and to use it as a launching pad for their next political ambition. So basically, and then they represent constituencies, and they have to fight.
And they have gatekeepers. They have to send them here.
So basically, they have to really challenge themselves in order to see that the constituency they represent, they bring the agenda of their constituency into the state agenda.
Okay.
So basically there will be clashes, and if the speaker is not recognizing some forces within it, it can lead to but what I can tell you is that in the political dynamics there's what you call political process, and in the political process interests will be will be negotiated, and at the end of the day, that's why you can find.
I like your expression. Interest.
Yes, the point I was trying to make is that we should not actually be monocausal in our explanation. We should not reduce to states.
Yeah.
At federal level, we have more serious problems.
Yeah.
I mean, just imagine the tenure of Saraki as a president. So there is nothing that you are actually calling attention to in states
that are not
there at the federal level. And why are we saying this? We are saying this because this program is on democracy. How do we expand the democratic space in Nigeria? Not only at the state level, not only at the local government level, but also at the national level. So let us not be reductionists by saying states are having this problem. The federal government is having the same problem.
There's something we have to appreciate, and that's very much in the consciousness of Nigerians. People see those in the executive as the government. No. It's a tripod. Until we start seeing those in the judiciary as part of the government, those in the legislative government as part of the government, before we appreciate the dynamics of governance. What we many people say is that once the governor is there, once we go government. No.
Everybody has his role.
The experience has shown us in the last 1 year that in fact the most potent, the most powerful of the three arms of government is the judiciary. We've elected people on 3 occasions in this country. The government said no, he was not elected, and that was the end of it.
Yeah.
In other words, what that thing that governor is doing there, that president is doing there, one judge at a corner in Savara can strike it down.
It's true.
And that will be the end of it. But even the ordinary man on the street doesn't appreciate those in the judiciary. doesn't appreciate the man in the government.
All right, we have more questions, but we cannot ask any more questions because we're done with the conversation. We thank you. It's been June 12. It's been June 12 Democracy Day conversations. It's our big conversation, and we want to appreciate the panelists today. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for inviting us.
Thank you so much for being here. Professor Yelowo Oyewo, the Honorable Commissioner for Justice and Attorney General, thank you for being here.
We take this opportunity to wish the people of Oyo State Happy Democracy Day, and we promise that God will help us. Oyo State will continue to be the pace-setter state.
And Professor Isaac Albert, thank you very much. The Professor of African History, Peace and Conflict Studies.
Thank you so much for inviting me. Happy Democracy Day.
And I want to also thank Chief Niyi Akinola, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. Chief, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. And this tell the people for us saying that better days are coming.
We appreciate it.
Who lose hope.
Right, so we didn't want to be partisan or deal with any party here, but we thank you for being here. I'd like to inform you that we had a partner who, listening to this program, sent me a message and said that his company deals with sublimation imaging, and they want to make a picture of you that could be in a surface that can last like 100 years.
Wow.
So we'd like to thank that company really well. It's Daffodil's Image at Mokola, and we want to say thank you to them. They have been our partner. They have jingles here running, and they said the three of you will get in touch with you, send them a picture, and they will make it on a frame, on the surface that can last. It's fire resistant, it's heat resistant, and they're happy that what you have contributed to democracy today. Thank you very much for being here. We'd like to thank everyone who has been part of it. Tuniola, who has been instrumental to bringing some of our guests here, is our general manager. We thank him. I thank Desmond Adebuega for being there. We thank the people in our department and the media and ICT. We thank production department and Michael Olatunbosun.
My name is Michael Olatunbosun. I'd like us to do everything within our power to make this nation better.
I'm Oluwaseun Akinola. We have a gift for our panelists here, courtesy the management. Maybe you can just give it to them right away as we sign out. That's our general manager doing us the honors. Well, thank you so much for doing that for us. Well, I'm Oluwaseun Akinola. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Happy Democracy Day. Bye.
Let's take you on a journey journey to the future with a touch of Daffodil's corporate image. Are you into printing business in search of quality and exquisite world-class product, or an event planner with a desire to create a lasting impression with your brand imaging, or a manufacturer looking for a catchy label for your products? Daffodil's corporate image is here for you. At Daffodils, we offer you a world-class digital sublimation production, direct-to-substrate ultraviolet printing, product labels, sticker printing, and high-precision laser engraving. Our direct-to-garment production gives your t-shirt a second-to-none superb color brilliance and durability that will blow your mind. Contact us today at this Grace House, 16B, Oyo Road, opposite Oando Petrol Station, Mokola, Ibadan. Daffodil's corporate image. We make your brand stand out.
DSTV is bringing back the big leagues.
Is your heart racing yet? I know mine is.
Get ready for live sport.
It's been a while.
Time to get on the couch and shout for your favorite stars from the biggest and best sporting leagues in the world.
What about that? What about that?
Reconnect to DSTV and get upgraded now for free and see the stars you've actually heard of in the only place you can watch them. DSTV, the home of live sport.
Olúwa fòpin sí àmì Ọlọ́run ṣe bí ọ.
Òwúrọ̀ àkọ́tún ètò ní ìkànnì Splash FM 105.5 ní gbogbo ọjọ́ Monday sí ọjọ́ Sunday láàrin aago 5:30 ìdájí sí 6 5:30 a.m. to 6 a.m. pẹ̀lú wòlíì Ọlọ́run alààyè Apostle SMO Mustapha JP bàbá Ṣebíọba. Òwúrọ̀ ọ̀rọ̀ Ọlọ́run wípé gbogbo ẹni tó bá wá mi ní kùtùkùtù wọ́n rí mi àǹfààní ní ìfún